Father John, on rcspiritualdirection.com, we get a lot of questions about confession. People are struggling with what's a good confession. I'm afraid of it. It makes me nervous. I feel embarrassed. Why should I go? There's a real broad range of angst about it. Can you help us understand maybe the key areas that we need to be concerned about?
Yeah, well, absolutely. Confession is one of the 7 sacraments, and there's only 7 of them, and they were all established by Jesus Christ. So he knew what he was doing. He gave us confession, and he gave it to us for a reason. We are human beings. We are body and soul. God wants us to experience his forgiveness in our body and soul. So he wants us to hear the words. He wants us, to have somebody with skin on.
It's an incarnational reality.
It's an incarnation, like all the sacraments. So it's from Christ. So that's the first thing to keep in mind. It's not just an invention of the church. It's not just, a efficient way to do it. No, it's from Christ. The encounter with a real person who stands in the place of Christ. It's Christ himself who forgives through the ordained priest.
Now that's a key. It isn't you as a man forgiving someone, right?
No, not at all. I don't have the authority to do that. So it's Christ working through, as just like in all the sacraments, he works through material causes, channels. Yeah. But I think the thing that I found that helps people most with confession is we don't really understand the benefits that come from it. Yeah. And if we understood them more deeply, we would feel better about it and we'd want to take advantage of it. And the benefits are, from the sacrament itself, you get 2 sacramental graces, 2 graces that are specific to this sacrament. One is the forgiveness of the sins that I confess. And it's guaranteed, and I hear it, and I might even smell the bad breath of the priest. It's real. I get it there. I know that there's no more doubt that I have been forgiven. And the second is, when we receive absolution, God actually strengthens the parts of our soul that are weak. It's like a doctor putting salve or balm on a wound. The things that we confess, the weaknesses that we confess, God strengthens them. So we not only get forgiveness, but also strength from the sacrament. And then the other advantage of confession is when I go to confession, when I overcome my nervousness, my self-consciousness, my shame, and I kneel down, what am I doing? I am exercising humility, faith, hope, love, self-discipline. I'm exercising all the big virtues. And when you exercise your virtues, what happens? They grow. And that's what we want. When we grow in our virtue, we become more like Christ. And that's the whole point.
And Father, one of the interesting aspects of this is you're a human being, right? So I come to you to confess. But some people don't realize that priests have special graces in the sense that, you just don't, from many priests I've heard, they don't remember what was confessed to them after confession. They don't look at anyone and go, oh, wow, they can have these sorts of sins. Is that actually true?
Oh, yeah, especially if you're hearing confessions for a few hours at a time, for instance. It's like, at the end, it's all just a big blur.
And are you ever surprised by what you hear, so that somebody might be afraid, my sin is so serious, or my sin is so grievous, or whatever? Are you ever surprised?
After having been ordained for about a week, I'd heard it all. And, so
just all repeat.
It's not going to be new there. But what I am surprised about, and speaking as a priest, what never ceases to surprise me is the act. It's almost palpable in confession, the grace of God that flows into the person's life. You can almost feel it. You find yourself sometimes giving encouragement or giving advice. Where did that come from? It didn't come from me. It was just God works through his sacraments. Yeah. And so not to make use of confession
it
makes no sense.
To dig deeper in the spiritual life, to explore a little more about the better part, go to rcspiritualdirection.com. That's R as in Roman, C as in Catholic, spiritualdirection.com.